Back when Apple fought the FBI for rights to break encryption, a lot of people were on the FBI's side. But now it looks like Apple has been totally vindicated and fighting back. You may remember during the San Bernardino attack, in which many people were killed, there was a phone that may have had information that would lead to the investigation on this.
May being the operative word there.
May. And the thing is, like, we didn't know. And the FBI had challenged Apple. It was almost going to go to court about, you have to make a backdoor way for us to decrypt this phone. And Apple said, no, we're not doing this because this will hurt the privacy of everyone who has these phones.
Yeah, compromise security for every single person that has an Apple product.
I mean, it was working on the belief that the NSA would be uncrackable. Well,
also, yeah,
there was an unprecedented breach of hacking tools and exploits stolen from the NSA elite hacking unit recently, which proves it's not as ironclad as they had purported it was in this argument. Yeah. So yes, I think Apple was right and was vindicated in saying, no, we're not helping you because this is too much for us, and we're not going to compromise our customers like this.
Yeah, and you can argue all day whether or not that rule is right or wrong, whether or not the government should have access to those things. But at the end of the day, Apple was absolutely right in protecting their users, because this certainly would have compromised everybody's security. Yeah. And I don't know, it's interesting because the FBI demands something that isn't even clearly stated anywhere. There's no law that says they have to do that.
No.
That they have to create a backdoor. And what obligation do they have? They're a private entity, right? They exist separate from the NSA and from the FBI. And what authority do they have if it's just on a hunch? Like, maybe there's data there.
Maybe there is and maybe there isn't, but you do what we say.
Right.
And
why?
Well, it works on logic that there's no way the secret will ever get out. The secret would have gotten out.
Right, their foundation was inherently flawed.
Yes. So it's just, you can't make this argument based on logic that is very fallible, as it's been proving here. They said that they were able to get around it using a third party.
Well, that's the only statement we have.
We don't know if that's true. We don't know what they did. Yeah. There is something called the vulnerability equities process, which is a framework to outline how and when it would make sense to disclose a vulnerability to an affected company. So from the government's point of view, you could do two things at this point. You could disclose a vulnerability you find, or you could use a vulnerability that you found. Purportedly, option 2 has been chosen.
Yeah.
It's not really clear how and if this is actually happened.
If it's actually true. Like, I mean, this is always a theory, and now people will be like, ooh, conspiracies. But honestly, I think, like, you have to save face. If Apple shuts down the FBI, it looks like a power struggle that the FBI lost, and ultimately they're going to say, like, well, we got the information anyway. But we don't know if that's absolutely true. And again, if you're banking on the idea that there may not have been information, then there's no information to release to the case, so they don't even have to prove any sort of trail that led them to opening and cracking this phone, because perhaps there was no information in the first place.
So what you're saying is perhaps this is maybe leaning toward something you say as PR or marketing, which is
totally
we
PR,
are
in my
strong,
opinion.
No one can break us,
We did it
and
anyway.
We got it. We can do anything.
We didn't need you, Apple. It's like, okay,
but,
whatever.
I mean, when you look at the data breach, you're not infallible.
No.
There are smart people out there. They may be white hats. They may be black hats. You don't know. And it's
if you have
the idea that you're the strongest entity and you're the best hackers is a crazy idea. And I'm so glad Apple didn't buckle to that.
If you are building an infrastructure with a set of rules that are determined by programmers, then other programmers are privy to those same rules and can exploit them. Right? Like, you're never going to create something 100%. Like, you can have a defense team that is on the ball and prevents people from breaking in, but that doesn't make it full, like, ironclad. There's always going to be a way to do it. You just have to put the right precautions in place. And in this case, this proves that nothing is surefire.
Nope. So just like the day you found out your parents were just people.
Remember that? Remember the day you learned you were an adult?
When you realized there wasn't an unstoppable force looking out for you. This is that day with the government.
Dude, that's exactly what this is. That's a pretty good analogy.
I'm sorry. They were right. They were right not to do it. Maybe you disagree, and if you do, I would love to know why. And you can do that below in the comments, audience. And please, won't you like and subscribe for more of this kind of crazy news.